of chaos, confusion, anxiety, people not really present. And anywhere I had to stop along the way, between the beginning of the turnpike and when I finally reached my destination in northern New Jersey, that escalated. I don't know whether it's just the increase in people. There are so many people. But there's a sense of frenetic craziness. I don't think they see it. By the time I left, I had certainly gotten much more accustomed to it, and I would find ways to circumvent it so that I didn't have to be sucked in by it. And certainly I would pace myself at a totally different pace, which was why when people came into my special space, they actually didn't want to leave because it was calm, it was peaceful, and it was healing. And that's what I ask each of you to embrace. That's what I ask each of you to be. That is who you are at the core of you. So why not now pay attention to that? Again, I'm going to say, particularly we women, as we get it, our men get it, our boys get it, our children, everybody gets it. So it's a case of really just honoring a gentler pace. There are some stores up there I absolutely couldn't go into. They were just, there was meanness in the stores. There was almost a sense of bullying needlessly. No one can look you in the eyes. And when I would stop them and look them in the eyes and sincerely say, whether it be to a checkout person, a waitress, a waiter, how are you today? And really mean it to the core of my being. It was a mixture of, I didn't know whether they were delighted or frightened that someone cared. So please take a moment. I don't care which state you're in. And as I drove back south yesterday and the day before, that was interesting coming the other way. I went through states where there's basically a hostility, oftentimes. And trust me, I go in with such an open heart to work through it with them, for them. I didn't care whether it was a 7-Eleven. They can't look you in the eyes. So it wasn't a New Jersey epidemic particularly. But when did we become so hateful toward one another? And why? Because as I started the show, it's love that changes everything. And you can see it in the way a person hands you back the change. You can see it in their faces. And it's nothing personal. They've just become so detached from love that they're hating themselves. And then any of us who are on the receiving end of that, oftentimes what I saw was hatred was returned with hatred, or disinterest was returned with more disinterest. And I ask you, stop that. It is you who will change the world, one by one. It may not be a big radio show. It may just be you stopped to give a hug. You stopped to wipe a tear. I think I talked about this last week on the show, but it really did leave an imprint. One morning I was going over to breakfast at the delightful residence inn that I stay in. I almost hate to tell where it is because they have promised me they will cordon off my room and make it a memorial. That's how much love was emanating from this room. The staff and I hugged and cried when I left. that's what we need more of. Kuan Yin was standing up straight and tall in my room, as was the Ganesh. But one morning I went over for breakfast, and there are two little guys, not so little that they wouldn't know better. They were like 8 and 10, and there was lovely petunia flowers on either side of the pathway. And these little monsters, and that's what they were monsters, were ripping the petals off of these flowers ruthlessly and stamping on them and smushing them. I couldn't even breathe watching this. And I thought, oh, geez, okay, here we go. And I gently, with great love, said to them, oh, fellows, these flowers have feelings. Please don't do that. You're hurting them. And the door flies over, and out comes the Gestapo mother. She had seen it all along. And I'm sure she kind of scolded them a bit, and they walked away with indifference, no sense of remorse, no sense of shame. And by the time I went back the next morning, all the flowers were wiped clean. Where was the mother? She was probably on her cell phone. Pretty soon, I think it's time for the universe, the great universe herself, to do away with these dang things, because they're robbing you of your humanity, as helpful as they are. But it's kind of like many of the tools we've been gifted with. They're helpful until we abuse them. And you abuse them when you're no longer paying attention to your life and you've become addicted to them. And you can't think straight without them. So what can I tell you? The other thing that I saw was an epidemic of anxiety. And this was true from 8-year-olds right on up to 50 and 60. And the 70-year-olds didn't seem too anxiety-ridden. It was more a case of the children. The children are a wreck based on overcooked, very overcooked, overscheduled, and over everything. So one day, this dear, darling little girl comes in, and she's 8, and she comes in to have something on her body adjusted with my happy healing tool. And her mother very calmly says to her, oh, why don't you tell Elaine about your anxiety? Almost as if it was a red badge of courage. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? And where is this thing coming from? And I really did not quite understand where it was coming from. But let me see if I can find it. I wish I could. I'm looking here for a note that, I don't know where it is. There was a book that someone shared with me that they had just heard a lecture the night before on anxiety. And it was pretty astounding because this was at a school. And the school spoke of, did I find it? No, phooey. The school talked, this gentleman who showed up, he had a fabulous book on what all of this electronic equipment is doing to the children. And the woman who shared it with me was very interesting. She said, I actually began to take a look at my life and what am I doing? And I know that woman really, I thank God she heard, but it was more important than she probably suspected, because last year, that woman simply had a complete, like an electrical meltdown. It's as if the universe simply pulled the plug on her. So what's happening is the anxiety is causing, the electronic stuff is causing, here it is, good, got it. Okay, so the electronic stuff is causing the anxiety. And I did speak last week about this Fitbit insanity that much of the Northeast is addicted to. I guess I'm very sheltered down in Florida. I had not heard of this. Every other person had on this Fitbit insane thing. First of all, your every move is now watched by Big Brother. I mean, really, come on. Your every word is recorded. Your heartbeat. No, if you don't know whether your heart's beating or not, you're really in trouble. If you don't know that you haven't walked enough today, you need a monitor to tell you have not walked enough? Why have you given up your power? Where'd you put it? But that's what the dark force wants. It wants you to be powerless. It wants you to just go by rote and not think for yourself, no independence. You won't need any freedom, not to worry. And I'm like, whoa. So at any rate, please be careful of that dang thing on your wrist, because one of the energy healers up there actually tested someone and did determine that a great deal of their power was diminished by that thing on their wrist. So here's the name of this book, and I will be getting a copy. I will be getting many copies to be giving out, because this guy's got it. Here's the name of the book. It's called Disconnected: How to Reconnect Our Digitally Distracted Kids. Once again, it's Disconnected: How to Reconnect Our Digitally Distracted Kids. I don't know that it's on Amazon or anything like that. This fellow seems to just travel around, and the author is a gentleman by the name of Thomas Kersting, Kersting. My source said he was a fine speaker. This guy should be in every school. This guy should be everywhere. And may his book sell 20 bazillion copies. And yet, the sorrow is maybe it'll reach 20% of the population, because many of you have fallen asleep. Hopefully anybody who's listening to this show has not fallen asleep, because you're here to wake up. You're here to go forward with your life and get a grip on your own power. So that was a great thing up there. I want to also tell you, with this cellular healing, there's some things happening now on the planet that really I want to encourage you with. At this time, there's been an influx of light, and part of this came these past several months when all of these eclipses happened. There has been shift in the heavens. So with cellular healing, each cell of your body, which is a very unique individual organism, each cell has a memory, and changes are taking place in the memory of these cells. It's another reason why I'm really wired about this new device I'm using, because it's changing the cellular memory for people. So things that hung them up years and years ago, they're dissolved now. And that's pretty cool. The vibrant energy that surrounds the cells denotes healing. So there's more energy coming at you, both physically, energetically, and emotionally. And that's all going to lead to spiritual healing. So whatever you're doing, for those of you who are listening, know that I promise you, that's one of my last gifts to you, because I'm going to hold the frequency for you, that this healing energy will move through you to release your old cellular memories and allow you to feel